I think the simplest way to define the intelligent enterprise is simply the more that you use the system, the smarter it gets.
Hi, this is Peter Kowalski. Today I'm here with Ralph Hess, the Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Navigator Business Solutions, and Russell D. Lapp, the Executive Vice President of Services and Support for Navigator Business Solutions. Thanks for joining me, you two.
Hey, Peter,
Oh,
how
my
are you?
pleasure.
Let's start off with sort of a basic question here. What does it mean to be an intelligent enterprise?
What we mean by the intelligent enterprise and going through that digital transformation is as your business grows, so does your data. And having a system that understands that data and is able to process that data is going to be extremely important. And so not only is it important to understand and process it, but also to act on it. And so when systems like SAP come with AI embedded in it, AI loves data. And so the more that you use the system, the smarter it gets. And so different things like processing your AP in that digital transformation, instead of getting that paper invoice, writing it off, and going through a manual process, we can have bots monitor your email, extract the data out of a PDF, and upload it into your system.
So, what I'm hearing is it's largely about using data more intelligently in conjunction with AI and maybe automation.
Absolutely, correct.
Yeah, and Peter, I think there's a critical point that Russell mentioned, which was that digital transformation. Right, oftentimes the terms are used very much interchangeably, but what digital transformation really means is it can really be a range of different points that people access a digital transformation. All the way from a high growth company that's moving on from QuickBooks and spreadsheets and, Johnny's little access program, all the way up to larger enterprises which have invested millions of dollars into SAP and enterprise level systems, which they've customized. And in both of those cases, the company is arriving at a decision where we need to really take a step back and look at all of our processes and digitally transform onto a new platform. So as we take a look at the concept of digital transformation, upon which then the intelligent enterprise can exist, that's where those two really become, linked together.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should talk about digital transformation a little bit then. What are some real examples of digital transformation in practice? You kind of outlined it a little bit, but can you paint us a little bit more of a picture of what that actually means in practice?
Yeah, digital transformation is really a journey, right? Every step you take towards digital transformation is going to make your entity or entities or companies more resilient, more competitive, and more predictive. So the more that we can automate through intelligent enterprise capabilities like machine learning and AI, allows your employees to be more of a value add to your organization, being more strategic, looking at KPIs. Every step you take is going to make you more efficient and more predictive, really to get the insights that you need to make quick business decisions in our dynamic economy that we're in these days.
Well, you guys work with a lot of businesses that are going through digital transformation. Can you give me some examples of digital transformation in practice?
Yeah, I think that probably our best examples come out of our life science practice, which we do quite a bit of work with some of these companies that have started a journey of science, right? As Russell referred to, the journey, really the journey and the maturation of a company is a great example of that. So as these startup businesses, they start as, really science experiments or just kind of a science exercise, trying to discover the next great cure, the next great therapy, etc. And so as they get started, they really piece together those systems. And remember, systems can be something you do manually in a spreadsheet, keeping track of your financials, right? So as they take a look and make that next step into becoming what we'll call a real company, really a real enterprise, that's when they need to do a digital transformation, taking digital information out of Excel, digital information out of other sources, and putting them into a cohesive system. Now, the data is really only one piece. The other piece is the processes that you put in place to be able to put the controls and predictability, as Russell suggested, into the business itself. So really that digital transformation is taking you from where you were, adopting new kind of best practices or fit to standard type operations within your business, and really implementing the controls and processes that you need to have to allow the business to have a foundation upon which to grow.
So what I'm hearing is that the digital transformation is both harnessing your data and also setting the processes and the systems to effectively use that data.
That's correct.
To add on to that, right, Ralph mentioned digital signatures. And so you can technically, sign a document, but the challenges with that obviously is that person qualified to sign off that this procedure was done properly? And so when you digitize that, we're able to put in those controls, those certifications to allow that scalability and to have the same compliance that you're going to need for your CFR 21 Part 11 compliance.
Let's use the example of another, let's say, a large consumer products company, of an apparel and footwear company that's a very large customer of ours. And they recently have done a digital transformation, moving from the system that took them from, a $10 million company to a $200 million company. And they had excellent systems in place, but to continue the journey, as Russell referred to it, to be that $500 million enterprise, they needed to do another digital transformation from where they were onto another more robust platform that could handle some additional complexity of their business, implement some additional intelligent enterprise methodologies, and really allow them to continue that journey to their $1 billion+ value and volume that they were looking for. So really, two examples at different ends of the spectrum.
And both of them followed the same journey that we talked about before. Digital transformation and intelligent enterprise, they all kind of come together in three different components that we classify them as we are guiding our customers through this process. You have your process transformation, right, which is pretty obvious. You're going from paper to more of a digital way to do things. You have your business model transformation, because now you have more data that you're controlling and setting up to scale. But the most important part is the organizational transformation, that change management within the organization, from having the historical knowledge of how to do something and having the leadership to inspire the new wave of innovation and leveraging these new tools to drive your business. And so really what we see that the end result of all of that is to increase the effectiveness and employee experience interacting with the system and doing their jobs. Nobody likes to do something that's redundant over and over again that doesn't add value. So we find that after the change has settled, it's a much better experience for employees. Beyond that, there's also the customer side of things, right? Knowing somebody that has a system, if you're in life sciences, for example, you're going to want to know that your supplier of your treatment is on an SAP product, right? That has that compliance and control as part of your vendor validation and verification. But also internally as well, once you go through that org change, now you have a system where you can innovate on, right? You're not worried about breaking the process because everything's paper driven. So it's a lot easier to see, enhance, and have that center of excellence to constantly be improving your processes with the digital background.
We're talking as if, digital transformation is a great thing, and it is. But let's get a little more specific here. What are the advantages of being a digitally transformed business? Why do we go through that effort?
Well, I think primarily what I refer to it as, in very non-Sapanese terms, right, very kind of plain speaking terms, is what you do is you're implementing a system that you can count on. So some people will think, boy, we have to have an army of people supporting the system, right? That was the concept of previously having a large enterprise SAP system. It was an army of consultants to keep it going, right? In today's world, digital transformation is really minimizing that. It's moving things to the cloud with ready to deploy, ready to run business process, So now you really don't have to worry about supporting the system. You have a tool that can support you. Now you can do the innovation that you're looking for. You can pay attention to the business and being strategic about the business, using all the great tools that are available: artificial intelligence, robotic processing, process automation, those types of things that allow you to really focus on improving your business, optimizing your business, both for your employees and for your customers, rather than having to worry about, when's that next upgrade going to happen that I need to re-engage consultants for, and how much disruption is going to happen organizationally because of that. So it's really changing that mindset to having tools in place, a foundation in place that you can count on, that just repeats itself, that you can continuously improve, rather than the older model of what systems were.
So what I'm hearing is, instead of IT being its own thing, IT is just, it's what can it do for you. You're not focused on the IT as much with a digital transformation. You're focused on the results of the IT.
That's right. Yeah, as my colleague Russell likes to say, what we do is focus on outcomes, right? When you start to pivot from what do I need to do to get this done to what's the outcome I'm looking for, and then go backwards from there about what innovation do I need to put in place, and now I have a good foundation upon which to innovate. Now I can start to worry and start to predict what my outcomes are.
Are there any other benefits to digital transformation besides getting away from the maintenance and the focus on the IT side of things?
Well, I think I would classify it as three main ones, right? You have real-time information to data that increases your insights and allows you to pivot and make quick business decisions. That's number one. Number two is going to be ultimately, what it's going to support your business's growth, right? So it's the only way to really truly be scalable at the rate that the customer, specifically when you're growing very fast over a short period of time, to put that digital transformation in early is the only way that you're going to achieve that scale in an efficient way. And finally, it comes down to what I mentioned before: is it's extremely important to have a compliant system, whether it's GAP, that's not going to limit you in growing into other countries, or whether it's more in your industry, different compliance or regulatory industries, whether it's life science or food and bev or DCAA. All those are important to select the system that's going to support those different industry compliance and regulations beyond just your statutory requirements by your local government.
What does it actually look like to digitally transform?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, where we have those three different categories, right? The first one starts with the business process transformation. And so we start off in an implementation by a rapid time to value, and we'll talk more about our methodology later. But it really comes down to getting you in the system within 30 days and showing you an end-to-end best business practice for your industry. So it's not just a general best practice, but it's an industry best practice. And so giving you the opportunity to see what SAP has to offer, instead of just blueprinting what you have today and try to rebuild that on the new system. So that's step one. We show you what's there. Step two is we begin this mapping process from your current processes and go through change management, how each one of those processes is going to change, how your roles are going to change, and potentially how your organizational structure is going to change.
I've heard you talk in the past, Ralph, on the importance of the change management. That really is where a lot of the challenge points are, isn't it?
It really is, Peter. Change is difficult. Right? We don't run away from that as an organization. We never tell you this is going to be easy and fun, because it's not. It can be fun at the end, right? Because you have those outcomes and you achieve what you want to achieve with the project. But change is difficult. People are always adverse to change. But the way that we go about it is very workshop oriented. We like to show the results early, so that we're never ripping off the Band-Aid and then let it continue to bleed, right? We're going to make changes. I think one of the things that needs to be said up front is that it's really a leadership mindset within the company, that needs to provide the room for the employees within the organization to make that leap as well. And so they need to be able to understand that leadership is embracing the change. They're going to give them the room to be able to work through things, go through, make mistakes, have things, kind of iterate through the process, and be able to adopt what might not be Sally's secret sauce for processing AP, but rather a best business practice that has been proven over 50 years. So again, change is difficult, but again, leadership and giving the team the ability to have the room to make those changes is what's really critical.
What are some of the other challenge points with digital transformation? Where have you seen businesses get stuck in the process or have challenges? Change management, of course, is one of them. Are there other areas, though, as well?
I think that there's times when I've seen implementation projects. Again, Russell runs the implementation side, but my observations are that sometimes people are slow to make decisions, right? Because they haven't been given the room by leadership to make these decisions, to be able to make mistakes, they may overanalyze. They may try to think beyond what really the scope is we're looking to have them accomplish. And so as we look at implementations, and really Russell talked about that speed to value, part of this overall digital transformation is not to have it take 2 or 3 years. It's to get through it in months, not years. And being able to make sure that decisions are made in such a way that they're high quality decisions, but that they don't take forever to make and kind of slow down the momentum of the overall project.
Mm-hmm. So we started actually talking about the intelligent enterprise, and then we moved over to digitally transforming to an intelligent enterprise. What does it look like at the end when a business has gone through digital transformation? Now they're an intelligent enterprise. Can you give me some practical examples from clients you've worked with on, what that, the end result? What does it look like in practice? An intelligent enterprise.
I think the simplest way to define the intelligent enterprise is simply the more that you use the system, the smarter it gets. Right? Mm-hmm. And so, for example, when I'm reconciling my goods receipt with my invoice receipts for any differences, the system learns every time I make a decision, and it assigns a confidence level on it. So the next time I go through there, I'm looking at the confidence level. I'm only looking at exceptions, and that exception list is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so what that does is I'm very, very big on experience. It increases that employee experience. They enjoy using the system more. But it also makes them more efficient, and all the things that we mentioned before. It allows them to be more of a value add to the organization, to review those insights that we looked at before, and provide different pieces of information to the business itself rather than being more transactional, process oriented. The second part of that is using different elements of the technology, machine learning, AI, robotic process automation. Like we gave the simplest example is the AP, right? You have a bot monitoring your email. It's going to go through and extract a document, and then we can use the intelligent enterprise flow to analyze that. If it's a PDF, follow this chain of events. If it's an Excel, follow these chain of events. Then it goes to extracting and mapping the data, for example. When the data is mapped, we'll put conditions and confidence levels on how that mapping is being assigned and provided, and then a person is notified. And so finally, when it comes to leveraging the BTP to fill this out, we can pull in those AI models and learn from those exceptions and how the human addressed those exceptions, and then we can do that job for them next time based on the confidence levels. And so again, the more you use the system, the more intelligent it becomes, and ultimately the better the system can support your growth.
And by BTB, you mean the business technology platform that SAP has.
That's correct.
That we'll be covering at a future video.
Yeah.
As part of the program. Should all companies be intelligent enterprises? What sort of companies should be looking at becoming an intelligent enterprise?
Really, as you look at it, every company should strive to be an intelligent enterprise. There isn't any demerit for not being one, but as you take a look at at being competitive and having the ability to leverage people's intellect in a higher value way within the organization, you want to shift them from doing repetitive processes that are redundant and, again, as Russell referred to it, not adding a ton of value to the business. Obviously, the transactions need to get transacted, but there's very little money made on the value of creating a transaction. All the value in a business is in the creation of the value that the human intellect can create. New businesses, new products, new business lines, new routes to market. Those are all things that you want to have the freedom to be able to think about and to be able to bring to the business. And I can be thinking about those things if I'm not worried about approving people's expense reports for my field service organization, or having to review their payroll and make sure they recorded their payroll correctly. Right? So as you start to take those manual, repetitive, redundant processes out, another one is let's download data into Excel and let's manually create a bunch of different models in Excel. The system can do that for you. You have predictive analytics that come with the system. Let the industry expertise that SAP brings to the table start to guide you through some of those types of processes. Again, leveraging that insight to be able to make better business decisions.
So what I'm hearing really is it's the routine tasks, a lot of the scut work. Let the system handle that. It frees then the employees up at all levels of a company to really focus on that next level, on that strategy component, on the how do we make this better, instead of those routine things that fill our day and maybe make us feel like we're busy, we're doing something, but there's really something better we should ideally be doing.
That's correct, Peter. So, I mean, we're really not just talking about the folks in the front office, right? We can be talking about people on the shop floor. Why is the person on the shop floor having to redundantly enter data and be able to run spreadsheets and be able to do their scheduling off of that? They could be thinking about and bringing to the business better ideas of how the shop floor could flow. They may see something in a process, a manufacturing process, a packaging process that could run better. But if their heads are down doing the transactions, they don't have, again, the freedom to be able to think about those things.
It almost sounds like a version of what everyone says, where we're going with AI, basically. AI will free us up to focus on higher value things. In some regards, that's what I'm hearing with intelligent enterprise. And maybe that's because AI is a component of that. But what I'm hearing is this is here today, not this where we're going to be in the future. This is actually something businesses can get to today. Is this something that small businesses can get to today? What size business should be realistically saying, yeah, let's move towards let's digitally transform and move to being an intelligent enterprise? Is there when should they start thinking about this way? That, yeah, we need to do this.
Well, they should be thinking about it really at every stage of their business development. We have customers that are as small as $5 or $10 million looking at trying to automate their accounts payable process, as Russell has made the example, where you go in and you read the email, a bot is going to read your email, and then it's the machine learning is going to understand more about the data that it's extracting and then processing it through a workflow. Those are available in systems that are very accessible to companies that are anywhere from, let's just say, 10 million to $1 billion. A lot of it comes down to what leadership's philosophy is on technology and how they want technology to be able to help them on their business journey. So if it's somebody who sees the cost of a system, a monthly subscription to a system, as a cost, then that's a very different mindset than somebody, we're working right now with a prospect that is a land surveying company, right? Very unelegant or inelegant business, right? They go out, you'd be amazed at the technologies with lasers and stanchions and things that they use today, and drones, et cetera, right? So they've innovated in the field. The owner of that company has the vision that he wants to leverage the technology to enable them to continue their growth. They've reached a certain stage of their business life where they can no longer exist with what they have today. And they know that they need to digitally transform in order to enable some of those intelligent enterprise methodologies to be employed on their business.
Yeah, in other words, it's a tool to do more with less, right? That intelligent enterprise. And so with small companies, often they wear multiple hats. And so really, you need to get to that point, as Ralph mentioned, it depends a lot on the growth strategy and the year-over-year growth that they plan for, the size of their organizations, as small as $5-10 million. But at the same time, the mindset has to be there as well, right? To have that growth strategy in place and leverage the tool as an asset instead of a cost.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me, Ralph and Russell. I definitely appreciate it, and you've given us something to think about.
Oh, we've enjoyed it. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.